Hi everyone, this is Miss Dove, bringing you the flipped instructional video for Solve Equations using Related Equations 1. So our goals for this video and section are to determine related equations of a given fact family. We're going to solve mathematical problems by writing and solving equations in the form of a number plus a number equals a number, and there will be some type of variable in there. Now, before we get started, I want us to review how to add and subtract fractions because you do see a lot of fractions in these sections. So I challenge you to pause the video, try it, and then see if you get the same answer as me. So remember, with adding fractions, we do have to have common denominators, okay? And that's with adding or subtracting. Sorry about that, my office phone rings. So again, when you're adding or subtracting fractions, you do need common denominators, okay, which is that number on the bottom. So 2 and 3, we're going to find a common multiple. And I know that I can multiply 2 by a number and multiply 3 by a number to get 6. That is a common multiple of 2 and 3. So I'm going to stack them like this because I'm going to be changing them to have a common denominator of 6. Now to do that with 1/2, I'm multiplying 2 by 3. And whenever you multiply the denominator by 3, you have to balance it and also multiply the top number, the numerator, by 3. So I get 3/6 for 1/2. And then same process on the bottom, 3 times 2 gives me 6. So I have to do the same thing to the numerator and I get 4. And I'm adding these together. Now, when you're adding, you add the top numbers. 3 plus 4 is 7. You do not add the bottom numbers. It stays as a 6. Think about a pizza. If you had 3/6 of a pizza and 4/6 of another pizza, you have the same size slices and you have 7 of them. The bottom number just tells you the size of the slice. Now, finally, I have to think about how does this improper fraction get changed to a mixed number? Okay, and to do that, I'm going to think about how many times does 6 go into 7? You can also do some division. You can do 7 divided by 6. The reason 7 is inside is because it's on top. 6 goes into 7 one time, and my remainder is 1. So 1 whole, 1 is my numerator, 6 is my denominator. So my final answer is 1 whole and 1/6. Which is the same thing, but in the mixed number format of 7/6. Okay, so let's talk about a fact family. So we're going to be solving our equations thinking about what's called related equations, and this means that we're going to be thinking about how do our numbers relate just in a different way. So look at this little picture right here, and I have 3 numbers, 3, 8, and 5. And they form a fact family. You can have 2 addition problems with these numbers, 3 and 5, and then the order changes 5 and 3. Both give you 8. And then you can also have at the bottom 2 subtraction problems. 8 minus 3 is 5. And then 3 and 5 switch spots. 8 minus 5 is 3. So that is called a fact family, and we're going to use something similar to solve our equations. So one more thing is you can also have this for multiplication and division, and we'll be looking at multiplication and division in a later video, but all of these are called related equations, okay? So, like I said, you can also use fact families and related equations when there is a variable. So we're going to look at the equation below. X minus 12 equals 3. This means that some number decreased by 12 is the same as 3. So we're going to use fact families to help us solve this. So first, how many related addition equations can we make with our fact family? We have 12, we have 3, and we have x. So what plus what could give us another number? Well, let's look. there's two related addition equations. We can add 12 and 3, okay, to give us x, and we can add 3 plus 12. Remember we talked about earlier a commutative property says either way you add these, it doesn't matter, you're going to get that value over there. So notice I took the 12 and the 3, I'm adding them together to give me x. Just like if this was 20, okay, you could think of, obviously 12 and 3 wouldn't be the numbers here, but we're going to have a larger number over here. How many related subtraction equations are there? And remember in our fact family picture, there were 2 of each. So there's also 2 subtraction. And the subtraction, one of them is what we started with, x minus 12 equals 3. But you can also change 12 and 3 and subtract 3 from x to give us 12. So why is this important? Why does this help us? Okay, I want you to look at our 4 fact family things, or our 4 related equations. I'm putting stars by all 4. Which related equation helps us isolate the variable? And what that means is which one gets the variable by itself? Okay, both of these right here isolate the variable. So now I can easily add 12 and 3, or 3 and 12, either way, and I find my value of x. So x equals 15. And I could check my work, plugging in 15 right here, 15 minus 12, yep, that does give me 3, so I know that that's correct. So for this practice problem, I would challenge you to pause it and see if you can figure out which related equations are in the same fact family as 2 plus f equals 13. So I'm going to write it a little larger over here. Okay, 2 plus some number gives me 13. Okay, I know that I could also reverse the order and still get 13, which is this first choice. So I would want to choose that. Okay, maybe that's confusing. Choose it, so we're going to color it in. Yes, I'm going to put a check over here just to make sure you understand. Now, could I do 2 minus f? Could I just stick a subtraction sign in there? No. In order to make it, in order to be able to use subtraction, I have to move some stuff around. My 13 has to come out in front, and I can take away each of these. So I could take away f to give me 2, and I could also take away 2 to give me f. So here are my 4 fact families. Again, addition, you just switch their places. That's all you can do. Here, we pull the total number out front, and then we switch what we can subtract from. So the second choice would not work. The third choice does work, so I would want to choose that one. Okay. And real quick, to help us, what's our answer? Well, here's where my variable is isolated. I know that 13 minus 2 is 11, so 11 would have to be able to substitute and be a true statement. 2 minus 11 in this choice right here does not give me 13. Okay, and again here, 11 plus 13 is not equal to 2, so this one does not work either. But 13 minus 2 does work, so there's another one that I would want to choose. So I would want to choose the first one, the third one, and the fifth one. For the practice problem number 2, see if you can use related equations to solve for the variable. So our related equations, we have this one up here. I'm not going to rewrite it. We can just switch the order like this. And then remember, in order to have our subtraction, we have to bring our total, 6.5, to the front. And we take turns on what we subtract. We can subtract x to give us 1/4. And we can also subtract 1/4 to give us x. So which one do we want to use so that we can solve for the value of x? We're going to use this one right here because it isolates our variable. We know that all we have to do is compute 6.5 minus 1/4. So let's do that. I'm going to come all the way up here to try it. Now, we talked to the very beginning about when you add or subtract fractions, you have to have common denominators. So I'm going to make this into an improper fraction first, and then I know that I can easily change a 2 into a 4. So watch this. 2 times 6 is 12, and then you add the numerator 1, and that gives me 13/2. I know that if I double my 2, that gives me a denominator of 4, and remember you have to do that to the top as well, which is 26. And now 26/4 minus 1/4 is 25/4. My very last step is I need to make this into a mixed number. So 25 divided by 4. 4 goes into 25 6 whole times, which is 4 goes into 25 6 whole times, excuse me, and the remainder is 1. Remember to write it into a mixed number. I have 6 wholes because it went into it 6 whole times. I have 1 left over out of 4. So my final answer is 6 1/4. If you wanted to check, you could plug that in right here. If I added 6 1/4 plus another fourth, that's 6 and 2 4ths, which is the same as 6.5. So I know that it does work. So again, we determined related equations of a given fact family, and then we used that to help us solve by solving our equations in terms of adding equations. Your next steps are to look for a flipped follow-up session in your live session schedule, request a target teach for additional practice, attend Help Lab if you need some extra support, and have fun.